So let's bring it back because you mentioned you're a Christian. I was brought up raised Christian. My whole family is Jewish. My dad is Jehovah Witness. My mom actually bought me this Christian video game called Spiritual Warfare. So it's just so funny that we're talking about
Wow.
this.
It's a
And
game.
it's a game. And listen, you had to go get the shield of faith and the sword of the spirit. You know what I'm saying? That game was so hard. It was so hard. So, long story short, circling back to what you said about flipping negative things, positive things into negativity. All right. So, in my adult years, as I became, as I ate from the perceived tree of knowledge of good and evil. I would say I would have, as Christians would say, backslidden, because I learned that in 1492, the Portuguese were trying to take over Africa, aka starting in Congo, and they came down. They tried to forcefully take it over, but they couldn't, so they sent missionaries. They sent missionaries and Christians to spread the word of Christ. The king of Congo got baptized, and 8 years later, that's when the transatlantic slave
Got him.
trade started happening. And then you all know it was downhill from there. 5 million slaves later, if you follow me. So like
Got him.
being as though that Europeans that perhaps got Christianity through the Holy Wars, a 200-year Holy War, Crusades. Um, what can you tell me? Because you might be able to send me to heaven. You know what I'm saying? Like my salvation is up to you right now. What can you say to help me? Start to understand and see Christianity in a different way as opposed to a tool that was used against us.
Well, the issue in general is religion is man made in itself. So anything with man behind it is going to be tainted and impure. So as to where like God, Jesus are pure and pristine, the fall of man did happen. So that's already the door open for any type of imperfection, flaw, not to like listen to the like life or death, you know, beckoning or call within your heart. So I feel like anything with man, like us behind it, like one thought can make us get off track from like the true thing. Not one thought, like one idea that pops into your brain, which is a THOUGHT thought.
One thought could change the world.
I mean, one thought could change the world.
Lil'
But I'm saying,
Sorry,
as
no,
to
sorry,
where
Kim, I love
something
you.
had pure intentions, man can have their ulterior motives. Anything with us behind it, as man, as the flesh, fallen flesh, we can have something that's intended for good, but because we are fallen, ego happens. Oh, well, I can actually take this and use it to manipulate. The same with love. We can use love and manipulate people with love, but it's like really horrible things behind love. Like, what is it called? Love bombing, where it's just like you're loving someone, which is an act of good, but it's still something not good or like filthy behind it. It's just like you want that person to like do whatever you say. So it's just like, I don't know, like we have the ability to be life-giving, or we could take something in the name of like wanting more power or more wanting more success. Like we just kind of like go off and veer off from like the real intention of what it really is, which is why I have issues with religion, and I have my own spiritual things that I have like with Jesus and God. But religion itself is man-made, and anything with man behind it is going to be up to be tainted or go left,
Well, you
no
said
matter
it
what.
yourself, right? So when you talked about manipulation, what's the root of manipulation? What word is in that word?
Manipulation.
Yeah, what's the prefix of it? Or
Man.
just man, just like you said. And then when you talked about the ego, that's easing God out. My acronym for it. So, yeah, that's very key. That's all. I just wanted to get that in.
Yeah, so I mean that's just really how I see it, because in the beginning, before the tree of yeah, like when the tree of knowledge was eaten, that's when all of that stuff started to happen, like the fall of man happened. So it's just like if that would have never happened, I'm pretty sure intentions behind like God's purpose would have been pure. There wouldn't be half of this stuff that or any of this stuff that we're going through today.
Excellent point.
But yeah, that's just
When we speak about life and death in regards to spiritual warfare, I always come back to this, right? Because when we talk about the fall of man, we can also talk about the fall of God as well, in my opinion. Because once the Creator came into existence, other things started to happen. When we talk about polarities, there's an extreme. So we have the Most High, and then something had to be created, which was the opposition, which the devil is the op to God. So the fall of God came obviously when he came into existence, and just like when he was birthed, life came, but also death. Things started to deviate. You know my theory. I'm not gonna get into it because we talked about it in other podcasts. But the moment we're born, where we have life, but we're also dying. Every single so it's the fall of man from the time we come in this bitch, but we also are growing as well. So we always have the ability to ascend instead of descending. You know what I mean? Every which way possible. So that's the other part to it. So I feel like we have a responsibility to learn who we are as well as God or the Most High and try to, work towards that so that everything could be better as a collective. You know what I mean?
right.
Absolutely.
And just like even like back on like choices and decision, like God didn't come here as like a dictator. Like even the angel Lucifer, like God didn't come here and be like, you have to do this, you have to do this, or put a gun to your head. At the end of the day, it was an option to eat from whichever tree. At the end of the day, the angel Lucifer was able to choose whether or not he wanted to remain around with God or like go and like create his own kingdom. So it wasn't like God was just like, no, like dictatorship, you have to do this. There was a choice. So once again, we all have the choice, but at the end of the day, there's a consequence for every action. You have a kid, you have mice in your house, you have a rat trap that like snaps it. You're gonna tell your kid, don't touch that because it can snap your finger. What's gonna happen? You either leave it alone and don't get snapped, or you touch it and you get your finger chopped. Like everybody has a choice and decision. So that's like another thing. Like we didn't come in here like under a dictatorship. It was always free will or a choice. We didn't come here with a leash or a noose on our neck. It was always a choice.
Kind of. I have to disagree at one point to it because the moment that we're born into, let's say, America, right? Our parents sign a birth certificate, which they sign us over into slavery without our consent. Is actually like a fraudulent contract. You know what I mean? Because we are unconscionable when they sign it. So
Wait, they're signing what again?
the birth certificate.
Okay.
Which now makes you a ward of the state. So now the government has control over your child, and the parents have to go to them to see who can have custody over the child, when naturally by God, that is your child. You know what I mean? But you give your child over to the state. Like we do it to ourselves. And that's why I say applied knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we find out, the more that we can safeguard ourselves and do what's necessary. So that's when the will is taken away from us, because you can't be free if you're born into slavery automatically and you don't know. You know what I mean?
So you're saying this is a systemic thing that we're all born into once that birth certificate is signed.
Yeah, pretty much. So the oppressor has really played a trick on it. So they say that the greatest, what's that devil saying as far as like, the greatest lie ever told or something was that he was like, he made himself like, make you not believe in him or whatever the case. Like a lot of people feel like everything is supposed to go how it's supposed to go, but ultimately the op is deceiving us to making us think shit is normal, but it ain't normal. You know what I mean? It's normal for him to take all of our energy. You know what I mean? Because they put us in their system. You know what I mean? So we just gotta create systems, like fight the system by creating our own system.
This is their normal, not ours.
Exactly.
So who are they and who is our?
The Europeans.
Okay, the Europeans. So, and I asked that because just today, I read a book on. It was called like the Filthy Colonists, right? And it described America before 1776. Once the Europeans got here, first of all, they was literally sleeping in dirt. They was starving. All right, the first town of Renoka, certain people left, went to Europe, came back. They was all disappeared. They don't know what happened to them. They was dying from smallpox. They was starving to death. They was freezing to death.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been dead if it wasn't for.
If it wasn't for the Native Americans,
Yeah.
certain Native Americans helped them out, right? So they showed them how to make corn, and I was first of all, I read that this one woman hadn't submerged herself in 28 years, like hasn't like washed, really scrubbed in 28 years. Like they were really filthy, lice everywhere, worms all in their food. They were literally sleeping in dirt, right? And for the first time, I realized how much they were in survival mode. When we talk about going savage, you know what I'm saying? Like hood people that's broke, you know what I'm saying?
Like the hood.
They on the corners, they trapped out, they in savage mode. It's either you or me. You follow me? And around that time, that's when the first the first Africans started to come over to Jamestown in Virginia
Pause.
and were being sold. Go ahead.
I mean, the first Africans were already here. The indigenous folks.
Native Americans, right?
Indigenous.
In a long about way,
Because we've been circumnavigating this bitch, but
right?
we were here prior to the European coming over.
Right. So natives, right? But when we talk about like Africans from Congo that was enslaved, they came over in the mid to late 1600s in Jamestown. There was about 5 or 6 of them, and these Europeans were in survival mode, and they utilized free labor to build the country that we're all comfortably living in today. Would y'all have did the same thing if y'all saw your mom die, your children die, your aunt die, you cold, y'all freezing to death, you starving? Would y'all have did the same thing and utilized the same opportunistic capitalism type ordeals?
No, it's no point.
No point. Your mom just died. Your cousin died. Your aunt died.
It's no point because, like, as a human, if you're a human with, like, human values, your first thought ain't, yo, we don't got no bread, yo. Let's go fucking kill all them niggas. Let's go kill all the men. Keep all the women. We gonna fuck all the women. We gonna kill all the men. We gonna take all the resources. Who thinks like that, bro? That's an animalistic. No one thinks like that, bro. Like that's some animal shit. That's just how I think. But like for the most part, like no, like I'm not doing that shit. Like if you got sense, like if you got that much sense to strategically be like, yo, we about to do this. We about to go send missionaries, and then they gonna act like they cool with them. Then we gonna come in and take all this shit, bro. What the fuck? I might as well just get cool with them. Like, fucking build an empire, dickheads. Y'all gonna come over here and fucking kill everybody? That's greedy as shit. That's greedy.
I was thinking, like, why not just ask to collab? Like, you help me,
That's greedy.
we help you. Like, why not just do that? Like, I don't understand. It's all one. If we work together instead of just controlling and taking over shit, then you cause other things to happen or people to develop other behaviors. Like, damn, I'm not even a monster. Now I gotta learn to be because these motherfuckers came over here and did what they did.
And I do want to say, circle it back, because shout out to y'all, because this is the first time we ever talked about cardology. And this is something that all my brothers completely understand in and out. And Tone is a non-Adamus, which is the card of the black man. So it's funny that he was the quietest one, was the first one to step up and say, fuck no. You follow me? So shout out to Tony Rose.
Bro, shit,
You know what I'm saying?
That shit is crazy.
And I feel you as far as collabing. Shout out to the Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, that some of them, they did help and they did collab and they tried, you know what I'm saying? Now,
But they was duped.
they was duped.
So, I don't mean to cut you off, but oneness is the true God consciousness. It's not that, in my opinion, that there's one God, but coming together as one is the God consciousness, right? But when you're a devil, not to call certain groups of people devils, but in comparison, me being a black man, I don't think like that. And me being a Queen of Hearts, I'm a mother card, so I'm a nurturer.
He's a nurturer.
I naturally just love in general via my actions, emotions, and everything. So I don't want to harm anybody else. I wish to collab. I have a utopian type of mindset where I wish that we all would come together. But looking at this life, my 37 years of experience, I know that deception is the key to winning in this life. So if you want to win materialistically, you have to be a devil. And some people just understand that innately. So when we talk about people having primitive or animalistic mindsets, they don't give a fuck about that God shit because the devil rules this realm right here. So if you be
They
a devil,
use
you
God
align
to
yourself with the
manipulate.
devil, you sell your soul. You don't give a fuck about none of that shit. We gonna take all these niggas shit. We gonna fuck all these bitches just like he said, and we're going to win because we become one. You can't win until you become one. But they did it in a way in which is like George Bush said, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. That is a real mindset because if you go in and you ask somebody for something, a lot of times you can get denied. But that's why motherfuckers was just taking shit. Like, fuck that. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. We did that to y'all. I
Right.
apologize.
It sounds like
And they
certain.
Vikings too, so it's like that's all they did was fucking fight, kill each other. Anyway, so it's like, what's the difference with these motherfuckers that's darker than us?
Yeah,
You
them
better
niggas
come
over
over
there
here running
chilling,
they shit,
eating mangoes, running around naked, having
Right.
fun. You know what I mean?
draw.
Right.
We about
Sleeping
to
in
disrupt
dirt.
these
It's
niggas.
summer
Real
all
shit.
You know what I
all
mean?
year round.
No. But now, see, this is where it has to go because we fight in spiritual warfare, actual physical warfare as well. So, with us coming into this knowledge and knowing what's up, it's like, why do we remain docile? It's our nature to be lovers. I feel like as black people in general, we
Agreed.
love, we chill, we love everybody. We show love to every fucking body. Like, it don't even matter. We actually even try to assist those who, other people might come into the club, they can't dance or none of that shit, but they having a good time. We embrace that. White boy come to the club dancing. If you notice, all the biddies go run up and go try to dance with him and shit like that. You probably been waiting for a dance all night, or you ran up on her and she smacked you because it's like, why you jump on my ass? But they let white boy jump on that ass, you know what I'm saying? Just because he's not in there, you know what I'm saying?
She said, "No, nigga."
No, but no, that's just real shit. So, but we embrace everybody. You know what I'm saying? Where they got their picks, and being as though we don't know ourselves, we go against ourselves. Whereas too, they have pride in where they come from. You know what I mean? You Italian, you Irish, you whatever nationality you belong to, you have a sense of pride. So you rep that. You know what I mean? And then once they created white and black, it's like they have a whole collective, you know what I'm saying, as to who. We got Africans beefing with us, like, because we American, and it's like, yo, but we black, bro. You know what I'm saying?
And while you on that topic, I saw it was a YouTube video that said it's a TED Talk. Where did racism come from? And they researched a whole bunch of texts, and it came from the Portuguese in the 1400s, and that was the first documentation. Because even back in Roman days and whatnot, they never referred to this darker race or this country as lesser than us. But in the Portuguese book, the king ordered them to write this book before they started sending over these missionaries, and they described Africans as animalistic, as beasts. They literally said the word beast as lesser beings, and then that is what they say was the birth of quote unquote racism. So
Basically, everything they said, motherfucking the Africans was, which is fucking sick.
And then they kept coming out with these fake ass texts and all that. I don't know if you ever, if you know Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, rest in peace to the sister, the Queen Mother sister. She completely demolished this bull who was trying to talk about like blacks are like inferior and all that, and she just was proving how we superior. But shout out to Europeans and whoever though, because they do what it takes for they folks, period, and by all any means necessary for
That's
real.
true.
That's
and they
facts.
know how to stick together. So with us peeping
Facts,
that,
real shit.
if you would think that we would learn that and come together. Like we got Shaq going against fucking Kyrie, about this
Right.
documentary
And
when
Brian.
he owns a
That shit.
business.
And Brian.
Pause though. He owns a business that premiered the damn documentary, and he don't even know it. But you sitting here talking about this nigga.
Wait, what?
Yo,
What?
when the premiere of that documentary was released, his business was the one to put that shit out there.
What business is that?
Allegedly, I'm just speaking off of what I seen online. But,
Okay,
you know what I
okay,
mean?
okay.
This is
crazy.
crazy.
Let's
Just so
let
quick to down his brother though. But go
Alright.
ahead.
let's let our guests talk, because we emotional here. We get
There's
wrapped
nothing
up.
wrong with men being emotional.
Right.
Amen. So like, can you help us out? Because we as black men, as black women, you know what I'm saying? Like, can you give us some wisdom on how to stick together and fight this combined? How can we become this Megazord and fight this big demon?
I mean, it's so sad to say because, like, I'm pretty sure we've been saying this for ages, and it's just really a matter of people letting it sink in their brain and actually taking action. You can hear things over and over and over, but like if you don't do anything about it, then like nothing's going to happen. So I feel like it's not a crime to let children know in these schools that there is a system set up for them to fail. I don't know at what grade we need to be telling them, 3rd, 4th grade. I mean, they're exposed to so much stuff already. So I would
Facts.
blatantly be like,
Straight
hi, my students, I just want to let you know that this world is not friendly and it's pretty much set up for you to fail. These might be some of your enemies, and this is how you can like combat this. I feel like because we live in a world where like the youth are already overexposed, at this point it's just like no point in sugarcoating that there are people or there's a system like the school to prison pipeline that is set up for a lot of minority children to be funneled through that, and their lives are already like messed up, and they're just putting money in the pockets of all these bigger corporations. So
Let's talk about it.
I feel like there should be really no age limit on letting these children know, like, look, like there is a system set up for us to fail. I feel like honestly, like another thing is literacy. We need to push literacy within our own community, because if you don't know how to read or write, like anything can get over on you. It's just so many like small details, but honestly it's just like at the end of the day, like us like being more nurturing, being more caring towards each other. It's just like for whatever reason, like we're so volatile to each other, and it's just really strange that we feel like we always have to pull out a gun like when there's confrontation. Like I guess back in the day we used to use our fists and stuff, but like everything is like gun this, gun that. Also I love music. I really love music, all types of music, even the murder gang music. But like honestly, we probably gotta like
Black out.
monitor that for real, because music is so impactful. It can change your mood. It can make you take action. So I don't know, like it's just like so many things that we can relay and tell people, but it honestly comes down to, are you gonna do something about it? We could talk, but it's just like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, that's facts.
What you got to say?
I'm trying to remember what I was.
Take your
gonna
time.
Say it was something related to it. Damn, what she just said. Just repeat the question for me again.
Absolutely. So how can we come together as a people, to defeat these demons that we're in spiritual warfare with?
I remember what I was going to say. Thank you. I piggyback off what she said. The children, start with them. Teach them what the school's not teaching them. Meditate. Things about nature, things about life, all walks of life. Just be completely honest how the system is not set up for you to win, but we got to learn this also, because there's still ways to maneuver to be great in this life that you live. Also, just teach and relearn energy, because everything is energy. Everything is energy. Whatever you want to attract to yourself as far as the life that you want. That's energy as well. So just carry the certain type of energy within, and you might see some magic happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nah. All right.
What do
So,
you think, yo?
great
It's
question.
balance though. It's balance too though. I ain't just saying just strictly have good energy. It's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
So
sometimes
just,
you gotta turn up.
yeah, exactly. To let them know what's up.
I think the youth got the turn up part though. Like they got that
Right,
down pat.
yeah.
The youth, see, what we don't realize is that everything's in divine order. So there's a season for everything, and everything comes full circle. So regardless of whether we teach, preach, or whatever the fuck or not, nature's going to take course, and balance is going to be restored. But if we want to induce that, you know what I mean, then we have to do these things. We have to teach. And my thing we need to teach is knowledge of self. Knowledge of self, like I say, if we each practice it, then as a collective we'll be stronger in general anyway. And I mean, I've done
That's
it.
facts.
I've learned certain things and have been able to impart that wisdom on others and help them to elevate and grow as individuals. And then, you know what I mean? It just benefits other people. It trickles down. So I feel like that's how we combat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you feel as though the Black Lives Matter movement was manufactured by the very demons that we're fighting?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
that's a whole nother thing where like, what does Kanye say? No one man should have all that power. I'm pretty sure that it probably started with. That's the thing. Things can start with good intentions, but even like for Black people, if you didn't even like come from a background like where you had money or affluence, you start getting a taste of money or being in like a different position of power. Sometimes you lose sight of like the vision or why you started. So I'm not gonna lie, like after doing research and hearing things and like the proof being in the pudding, like Black Lives Matter, like basically embezzling or like taking a lot of money and not even going to the causes that they were supposed to be going to. And it's just like, I can't get behind that. And it's just like another thing once again where it's just like it gives the majority like another like more ammo to be like, oh, look at these Black people doing these things again. And it's just like that kind of stuff sets us back. It shoots us in the foot because you got to think about it, like there were white allies and stuff, but now that all that stuff is coming out, it's just like now they're probably feeling stupid. Like I done gave all this money to Black Lives Matter, and the money's not even going to the cause that it's supposed to be going to. And it's just really another one of those things. Like you get a taste of money, or you get in a position you never been in before, and all of a sudden you're buying mansions and you're flying your partners out to all these different places, and it's just like once again another setback. And now you got people with documentaries and myth busting like, oh, this is really what was going on behind the scenes with Black Lives Matter. So
Yeah, it's all.
I don't support it. So, not sorry.
It definitely is all capitalism type thing. I feel like they seen what was going on at the time and was like, yo, we could really capitalize off of all this traumatic shit. Because most of the shit that happened to Black people, white people benefit off of. Like the trauma shit that we was talking about, like with the music shit. Like BLM, that's all traumatic shit. Like it came from a traumatic situation, and the man profited off of this shit. Just like BLM, music, fucking Black people killing each other, drugs in the hood and shit. It's like, I don't know, but like you said, that BLM shit. It's like, I like the mindset of we matter and we need to come together. I fuck with that concept of it. But as far as everything else with it, it's like clearly it's whitewashed. So it's like
Another form of separation.
yeah, it's like it's exactly shit is whitewashed. So it's like at the end of the day, we know what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Like what people saying, like with the whole like we need to like really learn about self. That's really where it started. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they did. They said, you know, we about to run up in they shit, and they all came together and ran up in our shit.
Did they?
Now we gotta come together and run up in they shit.
Yeah.
Or our own
Yeah.
shit.
Metaphorically.
Yeah.
Metaphorically.
So we
You know what
can
I'm
know.
saying?
We gotta run up in our own shit so we can know we legit.
Now, as far as me, I kind of feel as though I don't know exactly who stole what. I don't know how much was embezzled. But I personally feel as though if that person created the Black Lives Matter movement that planted the seed across the world, I saw streets in Paris, France, marching, Japan, all over the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, if if they helped plant that seed, they could keep the millions of dollars. That's just for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can have the millions, whether they stole it, whether they didn't. They planted the seed across the whole world at one specific time, bigger than any other African movement in history. So they can keep the money. That's just me.
I agree. The energy behind it, yeah, they could keep the money.
That's just me.
I feel like part of it was created in order to, as an agenda. I feel like they think way ahead of what we know. So,
Agreed.
for instance, today I heard martial law twice today.
Mm-hmm.
I already know that they setting up camps and trying to enforce that.
Mm-hmm.
So what better way than to still fucking violate us and get us in an uproar and have us in a divisive state in which we claim we want to fight and do different shit, whereas so they could force us into submission because we act in the ways that they have already predetermined we would act. You know what I'm saying? So the Black
Facts.
Lives Matter movement's giving us false senses of empowerment and such. It also is waking us up too, so they take that into consideration that niggas gonna wake up a little bit, but at this point we cocky as shit. Ain't nothing they could do, so
Right.
let them have this little movement, and we still gonna capitalize bread wise because whatever. But let's get it to the point where these motherfuckers is acting up so much that we can literally force them into slavery. Keep on with this mass incarceration and everything like that, and violating them all the way around because they don't know themselves. They ain't gonna know themselves, and that's it.
And sad to say, speaking of mass incarceration, so it sounds like you watched the 13th documentary.
Not like
No.
in its entirety, but just working in the school system and having a lot of these talks and people coming to speak to the youth, like, is just something that like is talked about, at least in like some of the demographics and areas that I'm in. I do want to say quickly about like the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I'm not retracting my statement. I have no qualms or issues with them making some type of profit. What I do have an issue with is if you said that there was money intended to go certain places or to go to like certain communities and charities and that money never showed up. That's where I have a problem. Or it's just like you have a vision and you're no longer abiding by the principles that you set the foundation and the seed on. That's what I have a problem with, and I can't get behind it. So it's just like, if you're gonna make these promises of like this amount of money being sent here and you're not holding that, you don't have integrity. You're not reputable. I can't rely on you. And that's why I kind of feel like they lost their validity and credibility.
Big facts.
Covenant music.